Does M. Night Shyamalan's Glass shatter the expectations of its fans, or does it leave you feeling a little bit split? Podcast from the demented minds of TLEV Media. My name is Thomas.
My name is Mr. E.
And today we are going to discuss M. Night Shyamalan's Glass, and also, of course, before any of that spoiler review, because, again, as it says in the title, and as I'm telling you now, it is going to be a spoiler review. We got some horror news to give. I'm sure as those of you who have seen Bird Box, what we said on the podcast is that before the main discussion, we're going to do little tidbits of horror news and discuss how we feel about that. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is Jordan Peele's Us has been pushed. It's no longer opening March 15th, but instead it'll be opening March 22nd. So
no, it's not that big of a push.
No, it's just a week.
It could be something like the studio they're working with, or
it could also be some of the big movies that are coming out in March, like Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is going to be stealing a lot of attention.
So they want to get money, but at the same time,
there we go.
It's smart for them to move it, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what week Captain Marvel comes out, but
I'm pretty sure, and I'll say right there that it is early March because, I mean, the fact that it's late April when Avengers Endgame comes out. And in between that, there's Shazam, but I digress. Before we go any further, let's also talk about how you could support us if you enjoy this podcast and you would like to see more content on this channel and on this company, on our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Extraordinary League. So you could become part of the Extraordinary League by donating as simple as just $8 a month.
$1.
$1 a month goes a long way in terms of equipment, in terms of location scouting for some of our short films, and also for big media events that we are going to. So consider supporting us on Patreon. Now, let's talk some Halloween Horror Nights. What happened was that there was a Q&A that John Murdy, who's in charge of the Halloween Horror Nights Twitter account, was just answering some of these questions. And I want to highlight some that are pretty, important for us as fans of the event. So one of the things that immediately we'll talk about is how Wrecked Production asked, when will we start seeing maze announcements? Last year was my first time going to HHN and already can't wait to go this year. And John Murdy said, can't say yet, but sooner than you might think. So I'm assuming, because remember last year, it was in April that we learned about Stranger Things.
Was it the first announcement?
It was the first maze announcement. But before that, we had, actually it was after that when we went to Monster Palooza that we saw the Scare Zone announcements.
We went to Monster Palooza when?
It was either in March or in April that we went.
Oh.
Someone let us know, but it was early on in the season.
Wow, I didn't remember it being so close.
Yeah.
Wow.
So someone asked, is it possible to see an original theme maze this year? And Horror Nights writes, I wrote one on the year before.
Ooh.
It depends on how the lineup shakes out. So what I'm assuming with this is that, of course, like he's mentioned before, it's really up to Universal Studios in terms of what comes to the event or not.
What the popularity and what. So at least we know that this concept is on the list. So we'll see if it gets cut, but at least it's there. I think one that's really important for us to understand here in Hollywood is a question that was, will the Jurassic queue be back this year? And he responds, no, not this year. Need it for JW, which of course stands for Jurassic World. But we already know that the ride is opening in the spring of 2019. They could be using that area for raptor pictures or other dinosaur
I think
pictures.
so.
I think so.
Maybe that's the end of JWQ.
JPQ or JWQ. Yeah, maybe JWQ. I don't know. We'll have to see for next year. But definitely means that this year.
Wait, are you sure he doesn't mean they're going to need it for Nintendo Land or whatever? Maybe objects there and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe. I think this year there's going to be either one or two mazes that are going to be in queues that we've never seen in different areas.
You think so?
Well, they got to start Nintendo Land, right?
So you don't. Well,
and that's over there where Stranger Things was, right?
Well, yeah, but it's kind of like. But remember, that's a sound stage. They're not going to tear down that sound stage.
No, that's true. But you don't think they have to use that whole area to start building it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they somehow were able to make the line work last year because a lot of the line was inside the sound stage, right?
Right, but they didn't start anything really that year for Nintendo Land.
True. Right now, they're still clearing up.
I mean,
space.
Can you imagine that? Like we look at Disneyland right now, how big Star Wars Land, how they're building up objects, and you got to move cranes in different spots. So,
and one thing that he does mention is that someone asked, "Will the soundstage be used for houses from here on out?" And he says, "I hope so."
Well, we still got the one at AVP.
There is that soundstage 747.
There you go.
Maybe this one will also be used. Soundstage 26, right? Was it soundstage
cool.
26? So I think this will be the last thing that we'll talk about in highlights, and then we'll go, of course, into what this video is really about. Someone, and this ties back to our previous video when we did a Q&A, and someone asked us for our HHN speculations. Will Balraven asked, possible for monsters to come back this year? Universal Monsters Maze is my all-time favorite maze. And he says, thanks. I'm really glad people liked it. Don't know. We'll see. It wouldn't come back as the same concept.
Who said that? I said that.
You did say that.
I did say that, and you guys
we thought,
me like it was
that's
nothing.
True. We said that it would be.
Dang.
We didn't understand why it would be the same concept, or we assumed that it would just be the same because of how popular it was.
No.
Anyway, yeah, that's about it for horror news. Y'all aren't here for all the horror news. You're here for one thing and one thing only, and that is our spoiler review of Glass. So this is what I did that was different from other times that we've gone. I did not take notes because I wanted to enjoy
it. Yeah.
A lot of what M. Night Shyamalan's movies are is that you have to be you have to be there. You just have to be in the presence of the film, paying attention to every detail because it's all going to add up in the end for the twist, right? The very famous twist. So I didn't even look at any of the critical reviews. I didn't look at anything. I saw one tweet from M. Night Shyamalan saying how originally it was 3 hours long, but they cut 3 of James McAvoy's characters' different personalities in order to make it shorter. That's about all that I knew about this film.
Each personality had an hour length?
I don't know. I really don't know, but like even James McAvoy said how originally it says there's like 24 in the script, but they only
18,
filmed
right?
23.
23.
So in total, there's about 20 in the film.
Right. I hope there's an extended
cut of this when it comes out. That'd be really cool.
That'd be cool.
Overall thoughts at the very beginning before we go into the nitty gritty. I enjoyed this movie. Yeah. I really liked this movie.
This was a good ending for the trilogy.
Yes, it was a great ending for the trilogy.
It wasn't the best of the 3, but
definitely not.
It wasn't M. Night's worst movie.
It wasn't. And honestly, the way that I'd view how I appreciated this movie was the same as The Visit. So The Visit was the film where the grandparents, spoiler alerts, weren't actually the grandparents. And so I viewed this movie on par with that. Like, I enjoyed it. Would I, religiously watch this like 5 more times? Probably not. With the caveat that I really, really enjoyed James McAvoy's presentation of Kevin Wendell Crumb and all of his different personalities. That was my favorite thing about Split, and I think that's what made Split such a success. I don't think they used him enough, though, in this film.
I think this movie was, you know how movies have their 3 parts, the beginning, the middle.
Yes.
I'd say the 3 parts went like this. You had the first was about Dunn and his family, or Bruce.
Yeah. The Dunn family.
Second was all about all 3 of them.
Okay.
And then the third was all 3 of them. I don't think Glass nor
so Elijah.
nor what's the name? Wendell Crumb.
Kevin Wendell Crumb.
Kevin Wendell Crumb had their own parts.
Oh, I see. So okay,
I think Bruce Willis's character is the only character that had a
like a segment to his own.
right.
Okay,
And I think
see
the
that.
main reason they did that is because they were banking on the fact that not everyone's seen all 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so people needed to be caught up on Unbreakable.
Okay, yeah, since it's the oldest.
Right.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, and also, like, a lot of what I think this movie does, and it's on purpose, is that it hits a lot of the same beats of, like, classic superhero films, right?
Yeah.
This is very much who's the protagonist, who's the hero of this story. Well, that's David Dunn. That's Bruce Willis's character.
Yeah.
So that's why I agree with you that we get so much of time focused on him, because he's the hero. We're supposed to be rooting for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I agree with you. I wish we saw a little bit more of Elijah's. I mean, we saw at the end of Unbreakable his turn, that he's the supervillain. I would have wanted to see, how did he get to where he was? How did he get to being constantly sedated in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
There's just like it skips,
True.
and I get it because of the time difference. But I would have just that one beat, because like even David doesn't know that he's there. Even David doesn't know. Like that's like when he realizes that you're keeping him here, or he's like, no, he says that to about Kevin, but he's with when they're when he wheels him out, he's like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah,
he doesn't even know that he's there. I think the performances of these characters were great. Every actor brought their A game, I think.
So yeah, I wanted to ask, what about the 3? Anya Taylor-Joy, Glass's mom.
Oh, I don't know her name.
Her name is Elijah's mother. That's it. We don't get her name, I guess.
No, but
Elijah's
what's the actress's name?
Charlene Woodard.
Okay, so you're talking Casey, you're talking Elijah's mom,
And then I'm talking Spencer Tree.
who plays Joseph.
Yeah.
I think they sell what they're supposed to be doing. They're a great supporting cast.
Yeah.
I think I love very much like what I loved about the Split was Hedwig and Casey's interactions. We see a lot of that. Some of the best jokes, of course, come from Hedwig, because he's this 9-year-old who's stuck being 9 for forever.
Yeah.
I think it's great to see when Casey and Hedwig are together.
They really were going off the fact they were really trying to get Hedwig as the main
source of like comic relief.
Yeah.
I agree.
For the whole movie.
Yeah. I mean, Sarah Paulson's probably she's the newest addition to the cast, and
did well again.
She did. I saw that there was a tweet from her that originally in the script, and M. Night Shyamalan had written her character Ellie Staple as a male doctor.
Oh.
But honestly, after this performance, I don't think anybody else could have done it as well as Sarah Paulson did. No. She sold it. She sold it as a psychiatrist, and the twist, which I want to have like a whole other section.
We'll talk about that.
Just going in depth on the twist. But I think that she sells it so well that you truly believe that she's here to help these people and she truly believes that they, don't actually possess these abilities, that when
the convincing factor.
Yeah, when the twist happens, it just makes it all that more exceptional. I do love the coloring of this film. I think it's great.
Different rooms and the darkness, the brightness.
How really, the overseer. Now that we know that David Dunn has a name, he's the overseer. A lot of where he is very green. Every shot there's like a green tinge to it. Yeah. And then with the Horde or with the Beast,
brown.
It's like a yellow. It's like a yellow and some browns. Yeah. And then with Elijah Price, with Mr. Glass, it's very purple. And
with all 3 of them together and then one big.
Oh, I love that shot. I love that shot so much that it shows each of them in their colors. I love that. Later on in the film, when you see Elijah's mom at home, she has purple curtains. I love how when Joseph is working in his father's shop, all the
everything that
The
everything
company
behind
name
him.
is green
Even
too,
the
right?
company name is green.
Dun
All this,
security or something like
all
that.
the packaging is in green. His computer
Yeah.
around it is green, and then I just even when every situation where the beast turns into the beast, or when the horde turns into the beast, it's yellow.
Yeah.
And I think so. Color wise, it was fantastic.
The cinematography also with the camera angles
Mhm.
they use, point of views with
Yeah.
when they switch into glass,
Mm-hmm.
his head's a little
When he's
tilted, so
sedated,
you're
yeah.
also tilted.
Mhm.
You're like, oh, okay, well,
And even
now we see who we are, what position.
at the end with David, we see
David
like
Dunn
as
being
if we're
thrown in
from
the
his
water.
perspective. Yeah.
Yep.
We went with Toby, and Toby did not. Who's our little
He
brother?
hated it.
He hated the POV shot. So I don't think it's for everybody.
Right, but it's supposed to make you feel uneasy,
Mhm.
and I would say it worked on Toby for
I
that.
think so. Yeah, exactly.
That's why he hated it so much.
I think a lot of the techniques that are used with the camera almost make the perspective like makes us one of the characters.
yeah,
I think that's what's
we're
great.
there during the battle.
Mhm.
We're there during the conversation.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Now, going back to the character, I very much like what they did with the Beast, that they really expanded on his abilities and his fighting style. So, like what we had seen in Split, the only way he killed people was like he constrict them, right? Very much like a boa constrictor. But we see when he kills Daryl that he bashes him like a gorilla, that he takes his fists very much like how a gorilla.
Strangled him like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
like a
yeah,
bear
yeah.
hug, and then
when he's
just to
when he's
finish him
on
off.
the
I don't know.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that of course Samuel L. Jackson does a fantastic Mr. Glass. I mean, this was his character. He kept trying to tell M. Night Shyamalan to make this sequel. He's been wanting it for the past 19 years. He comes in, brings his A game. It's fantastic. But even like with the security guards, they sell the idea that you don't even really know if they're good or bad. Like there's a scene where you start noticing that Elijah's escaping. Like he somehow is able to open his cell, and one of the security guards is like, if I drop this flashlight on you, is it just going to break your paper legs? And he drops it, but then he catches it. So you don't even know. Like they're playing mind games with.
Well, I think it's also the stereotype of these. You're in the cuckoo bin, and these guys are like these security. Well, they're not security guards. They're
like nurses.
Nurses or something
that
like,
they're
are
evil.
very abusive and I think it worked well. And then you don't feel bad for them when they die. I mean,
No,
I
you
don't
don't.
feel as bad for them.
I think the way that they die are really, really cool.
Yeah.
Like the one where after they suspect Elijah to be getting
Thompson. That's
Okay.
the actor's name.
After Elijah is supposed to be lobotomized, so that way he can't use his incredible mind. He's just there, and
Oh yeah, because
the
he
nurse
went
is
through
there.
the surgery,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
The nurse is like, "Look, I know you feel bad right now, but you're gonna feel better." And he leans in, and then you just see Glass like,
Cut him.
and he cuts him with a piece of glass.
But the camera doesn't even change yet.
No.
You're still in the same exact position. You're like, oh, he's not moving.
Mm-hmm.
And then he slowly starts falling over, and then you have Glass start talking.
Mhm. So
and it's really good.
and I think like even bringing back the characters from the previous films, I think it's fantastic that they were able to get all the same actors from the previous
Yeah.
films.
Yeah.
That really sold the fact that yes, this was a continuation of the story. That this wasn't
Mhm.
3 different, but this was a trilogy. I mean, you want to just talk about the twist?
We can go into the twist now.
Is there any other aspect of this? Because the twist, I think, is like really, I want to go in depth. So is there any other aspect of this film that you?
I think there were at some points where, because the movie was PG-13, they try to put more comedy
Oh, you think so?
into serious parts. I don't know.
Okay.
There's at some points where I just felt, I don't think that was M. Night Shyamalan's idea. But it was the
you think like the studio got involved?
idea.
Okay.
But that's normal in every sort of
every film.
movie.
Every film.
But it didn't ruin the film. It just also, I feel like it kind of slowed down the thriller aspect of the film.
I agree with you. Yeah, I felt like it was very much. Yeah, it's very borderline thriller, very borderline horror. But the characters, interaction, it really does feel like they're all from the same universe. It's crazy to think that there's a almost 19-year difference between the two movies. It's crazy. Okay, so
we'll go into the thriller.
I mean, before the twist, I'm gonna mention M. Night Shyamalan's cameo. I thought was it was okay. A lot of what it was supposed to do was
build his character.
Yeah, build his character who was the security guy for the zoo.
Yeah.
No,
he was at the football game. I thought.
Well, he was at the stadium at first, but that's what is. Yeah, basically what M. Night Shyamalan's doing is trying to tell us all that it's the same character.
Hey, do I know
movies.
you? He says,
yeah, you used to work at the football stadium, right?
David Dunn. Yeah. I wish it was. So he's trying to do the Alfred Hitchcock and Stan Lee cameo stuff, but at the same time, I don't know why he tried to build character.
Yeah, it was way too long.
I feel it was. There you go. It was way too long. Maybe he buys the stuff and then he's like, "You have a good day," and then boom, he's out.
Oh, I think it should have just ended the scene, because the scene that we're talking about, when David Dunn goes on his goes as the overseer to see if everybody's like, if there's all good, nothing's evil out and about, he goes for a walk. That's their code. And Joseph's like, and so David tells to Joseph, "I'm gonna go for a walk." And Joseph says behind the counter, "Really, Dad? You don't have to go for a walk today. I don't think you should go for a walk." And then David's like really adamant. He's like, "No, I'm gonna go for a walk." And so M. Night Shyamalan's character says, "Dude, just let your dad go for a walk." I think that's where it should have ended. The entire scene after that, it wasn't necessary.
It added too much, yeah.
All right, the twist. So there are two revelations and then a twist. So the first revelation is that Kevin Wendell Crumb's father, who knew about Kevin Wendell Crumb's mental disorder, that he was having multiple personalities, was on the train going to seek out these institutions to help his son.
Right.
And the train he's on is the same train that David was on that was crashed, and David was the only survivor.
Yep.
So we know that, and as Glass puts it, he created two supers that day. One just took longer than the other, because he
starts getting a little psychotic when he starts saying that too.
Because this is all after like the massive battle between the Beast and the Overseer.
It's David Dunn's son who says, "Stop." There's
yeah, he's not even telling you the full truth, and then Elijah's like, "Yeah, don't tell him now." So that was funny, and then you think that that the Beast and the Overseer are gonna team up. That was your fear. That's what you told me, that you thought they were gonna be like good guys together.
Yeah, that was my fear, and then my other fear was gonna be like, I don't know. Yeah, that was my fear.
Yeah, but then we see him like break Elijah's shoulder and then punch him in the stomach, and of course, because of his condition, that just.
But at the same time, he doesn't go fully evil too afterwards.
Who?
Crumb.
What do you mean he doesn't go fully evil?
Because he attacks Glass, so he's not working with him. Because remember, it's always he's defending Kevin and stuff like that. So, and then does he go back? Does he start fighting David again after?
Yeah, they go fight afterward. And then that's when Casey steps in, because Ellie's there with all these security people who are now circling around the different. The different supers, I guess.
And they started attacking.
And so Casey says how she's going to try and talk to the Beast to get Kevin to come. Yeah. And then she finally gets the Beast to release the light, and Kevin's in charge of the light. And of course Kevin is scared. He hasn't been in charge of the light.
This part really weirded me out.
Oh.
Okay. And I don't know if it's weirded you guys out, the viewers here. it just seems like the whole scene. Okay, we have to remember what's her name again?
Casey.
Casey. We have to remember Casey was kidnapped.
But not by Kevin. She was
Okay,
kidnapped
but it's
by
still all
Dennis.
it's still all the people inside of.
No, but they're not. See, that's the thing. They don't have the same memories. They don't share the same motives. Some of them.
But how
are
does she
working
forgive
together.
this man still?
Because she doesn't see it. They all share the same body, but they're not all the same
so
person.
Weird, and then they get so close, like they were gonna be romantic lovers.
Well, because
and
they both were children who survived abuse. That's what it was. The fact that he was that Kevin was abused by his mother, which came to the formation of Dennis, and that Casey was abused by her uncle.
If I'm kidnapped, I'm not going to forgive, even if they have different personalities. I'm not going to forgive that person.
That's you. That's you.
That's a hard one. That's a hard one. You guys write down in the comment section if you would be able to forgive Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that.
I don't even think it's really any forgiveness. Well, except that we can talk about what we're about to talk about. Okay, so the next big revelation, and I guess it's kind of a twist as well. If you want, you can say there's two twists in this movie, is the fact that as soon as Casey gets Kevin in charge, one of the snipers shoots Kevin, and boom, he starts bleeding out. And then another of the security grabs David and brings him over to where there's a puddle of water.
But you remember that puddle was created
by
before
the tank.
Saw it.
Yeah,
I was wondering what that was going to be too. So.
And we see the person who the sniper has a 3-leaf clover on his wrist as a tattoo.
It focused, and I was trying to think in my head. It's like, is that connected with the Illuminati, CIA kind of stuff? And
then, so as David is having his head pinned against the water, we see Ellie walk over, and she says, "David, hold my hand, David. David, hold my hand." And we see that she has the same 3-leaf clover tattoo. And when he grabs her hand, he sees a flashback of when there's like a giant full restaurant, and everybody's laughing, and Ellie's there, the only one in white. See, M. Night Shyamalan loves colors and loves using symbolic colors. And everybody's talking, and then there's like 3 people who leave the restaurant, and then it just goes silent. And then Ellie talks about these different supers and she then asked David, "Now, tell me, David, did I almost convince you that you were normal?" Because their organization goes after people with super abilities and disposes of them. She said that, she even says to David that she almost left him alone, but it wasn't for the fact that the beast came to exist.
Yeah.
That was because when one super is formed, his or her polar opposite also is formed. And so
which is something I'm trying to understand, because we have Elijah, who do we count as super?
Oh yeah, he's called the mastermind.
Right. We have him, but his polar opposite was
David.
Now, who is Kevin's polar opposite?
That's a great question, because they would assume they're treating it like David is the polar opposite of the beast.
No.
We don't know.
But also, we forgot to talk about how they almost convinced Kevin that, or not Kevin.
They almost convinced Patricia
that the beast wasn't
real. They almost convinced Patricia, and that's why it took her so much to give up the light for the beast, because then she was like, I believe. And it took it took Elijah's interception to remind her that no, you are the beast is real.
Beast is there.
And even but then afterward, because before all of this, we saw Elijah was messing with one of the security cameras, or not security cameras, with one of the
he was typing up
on a computer in the basement. And so he's, of course, bleeding out because the beast punched him. And now, of course, Kevin is bleeding out because he was shot. And then we proceed to see David drown. Like, he's dead. They kill him. And it's like, what? And then we see, as Kevin fades out. Then we see all of his other personalities also dying. So we see Jade die. We see Hedwig die. And Hedwig dying is the saddest. That's very, very sad to see Hedwig die. We see Dennis, and of course Dennis, who was what's it? Obsessive compulsive disorder. Right. He's like, oh my goodness, I have blood on these pants. We're gonna have to wash these pants. They're dirty. And so we see him die, and we see Patricia die, and then all of them are dead.
But then Kevin's like, I took the light.
Yeah. I'm taking the light until the end, and then Kevin dies. And so it's crazy because then, but I like this symbolism. Oh, and then we see that Ellie walks over to Elijah and
tells the mom to get away.
But before that, she talks to him. But before that, he says how this wasn't, this wasn't the end of our story. This is somebody's origin story.
Oh, he says that to his mom.
Yeah, because it wasn't a limited edition.
His mom's like, I'm sorry, this is not how the limited edition.
Yeah, she said, I thought this was the climax. This is the of the limited edition. And she says, but this wasn't a limited edition. This is someone's origin story. And then Ellie talks to him, tells him how, that he really was brilliant. And then Elijah says to his mom that, Mama, I wasn't a mistake, was I? And she says, no, baby, you weren't a mistake. And then Elijah dies. And then you're like, holy cow, they're all dead. And then, but I really, really love the symbolism of the 3-leaf clover, because everybody goes after the 4-leaf clover, right? Because it's magical, because it has these special properties to it. Right. But it's also abnormal. The 3-leaf clover, it's what's normal. So this organization is proud of their normalcy and they are going to kill all that are not normal. That's what the symbolism is. And I think that was really, really cool. And then so after they're all dead, Ellie goes back into the institution, tells all the workers that they killed themselves. This was suicide. And then she goes back to the basement because I forget what gives her this revelation. Because
the footage?
Yeah, because she has a flashback.
Oh, she goes to the comic book shop.
Oh, that's right. So she goes to the comic book shop, and someone says how they always underestimate the mastermind. That the mastermind
always a step ahead.
Always is a step ahead. And so she remembers, and she remembers the fact that she told Elijah that she was installing 100 more cameras. And so then she runs back to the basement, which was in the same computer room that Elijah was in right as he was escaping with the beast. And it was at this point. She asked the guy,
she's like, you deleted everything off the videotapes. It's like, yeah. And she's like, check if anything was downloaded.
Yeah. And he's like, wait, what the hell? What is this?
Can't be.
Mm-hmm. And if we find out that it was being live streamed, all the cameras, live footage was being sent to Elijah's mom.
Not just mom.
Well,
was it the mom that sent it to Casey and
Joseph?
Or what did he also send it to
maybe
Joseph?
Maybe he might have sent it to them as well. I don't know. But
anyways, they get it too.
We know that at least Elijah's mom gets it first. And it's all the footage. And so even Ellie realizes that the reason why he went through the basement and not the back is because he wanted every camera to see him. And then it shows the footage of when David is bending steel and when he breaks through the door and when the beast is climbing on the wall, showing all of these abilities. And so now it makes sense why Elijah says that this is someone's origin story. It's not Casey's origin story. It's not Joseph's origin story. It's not his mother's origin story. This is some other super's origin story, because now supers are being exposed and are being shown to exist in this world. And we know this because Joseph, Casey, and Elijah's mom sit in Grand Central Station and they just watch as the world learns.
Yeah. You forgot to mention, Ellie says this, he wasn't trying to escape. This was a suicide mission.
Yeah.
So he was planning on
all
dying. 3 of us are out of here. But this idea is not new, okay, guys?
It's not. It's absolutely not. And
Pirates of the Caribbean was the first to do this, okay?
okay, go for it.
Jack Sparrow. I'm trying to think. It's in the third one at World's End. You remember how he steals the map?
Okay.
It goes all the way back from the beginning of the movie.
Uh-huh.
Davy Jones has the map, then Will gets the map, but then Davy Jones gets the map, and then somehow Jack Sparrow gets the map. But he's had the map the whole time.
Mm.
They've always had a fake map,
and
he's had it the whole time. So he was always a step ahead.
Right. But it's because he cut out the actual map part, right?
Right, but he had it the whole time.
Yes, he did. Because then he goes for the Fountain of Youth. Okay, well, yeah, and I think that's honestly why, and those are the twists, and that's the revelations, and I think that's why this movie has such a low Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I think people were expecting they've all been dead, or they're all actually very dumb. They don't have any powers or something like that.
And I think that's the big thing in terms of the issue of this movie, and also what I think makes this movie so, fun and enjoyable is the fact that, yes, it is a standard comic book movie, but that's the whole thing. Like, these people are comic book characters in a real world. So, yes, it is going to hit these beats because that's the whole point. Yeah. These supers do exist. These people do exist in this world. And so I very much enjoyed the fact that, yes, you had the cliche. Now everybody knows that superheroes exist. You had the cliche origins that everybody was connected, that all these supers are from the very beginning, even before any of them even knew each other, that they were all connected.
Now this is where I wonder what the future holds for. I mean, he's not going to make another movie.
No,
probably
because
not. I wonder
Mm-hmm.
what in that storyline. What does the future hold now that everyone knows there's superheroes? There can be more superheroes now because there's a polar opposite.
Want me to give you a hint, or want my ideas?
What are your ideas?
We'll never know.
I know we'll never know.
We'll never know.
But we still have to.
You still want to speculate, even though we'll never know. Okay.
What's gonna happen in Endgame? No, it's like we know Spider-Man's alive. Come on.
Yeah. This is how you really kill supers.
Yeah. Yeah, but what does this mean about the 3-leaf clover kind of group? Are they gonna get widen even more and try to stop more? We don't know. And we will never know.
They'll probably be referenced at some point.
Why is Jack Nicholson in that picture at the end of the movie? What the?
Yeah, there you go. The Shining is actually an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Oh, God. Oh, I think the Kubrick estate would not be too happy with that.
No.
But I think, it doesn't matter. That's the thing. It's very much like the ending of Inception. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Is it a dream? Is it real? It doesn't matter. The story is over, though. That's all that.
You will never know.
The stories of Elijah, David, and Kevin are over. This was their trilogy.
So then, would he do another trilogy of different characters? Nah, he wouldn't do such a thing.
Will we see Casey, Joseph, and Elijah's mom come back? I don't think so.
I don't think he wants to do this again.
I think
he's going to move on to something else.
Exactly.
I think he did his superhero stuff. Maybe now he's going to do... I mean, he's done Aliens already.
I mean, I know you want him to do Pirates. Maybe he'll do
you try to beat my Pirates of the Caribbean with that stupid idea. That's not your idea, M. Night.
But I don't know if we should trust him with another beloved franchise. I mean, he did do Avatar: The Last Airbender. Oh, I'm sorry, it was just called The Last Airbender. Remember?
That was an ass movie. That's one of his bad movies. I can't think of any other. But
The Happening was also a pretty bad one.
Is it
The
Village?
The Village.
Isn't that the one with the aliens Happening?
No, that's Signs.
Oh,
Signs is okay, but The Happening is. It's got the famous. I'm sure you've seen the meme of Mark Wahlberg going, "What? No."
Okay.
Because Mark Wahlberg is a science teacher. It's very similar to Bird Box, and that's why I said Bird Box was taken, because it's all these people just start committing suicide.
Oh,
because it's a pollution, not pollution. It's a pollen in the air that's causing everybody to kill themselves.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, I don't know what's next in M. Night Shyamalan's.
I don't know.
we'll
movie
see.
category.
So yeah, I'm not gonna give this movie any like number ranking because I just disagree with the critics.
They're butthurt right now.
I enjoyed this film. I won't say I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was a good watch. Of course, James McAvoy stole it from me. The fact that he is so talented that he was able to create all these different identities and make them unique, so much to the fact that just by looking at the back of his head when he goes from Patricia to Dennis to Hedwig to the Beast and to any of the other identities,
and even there were scenes in the movie where it's like, because at some points they would turn the camera around so he can like kind of get into form, but it wasn't at the end where he's dying, but there's at some point the camera's stuck on his face, but you can see him changing his character.
Yeah,
how he did it like that.
Because it's a callback to one of my favorite scenes in Split when Barry is seeing their psychiatrist, and it turns out that it's Dennis pretending to be Barry, and so she says, "Why don't you really talk to me, Dennis?" And he goes from like, and it's like, yeah, you've always been Dennis. And so I very much enjoyed James McAvoy's portrayal. Sarah Paulson.
Was he your star for the movie, or
ooh,
who was the one who stood out for you the most?
I mean, I'll say it has to be James McAvoy. But I do have to say supporting actor. I mean, I'm not surprised because she's just fantastic in every American Horror Story season. She's fantastic in the first 10 minutes of Bird Box. I mean, Sarah Paulson did it fantastic because you truly believe that she's looking out for these people, and then you learn at the end, like when she asks David, when she's like, "Tell me, David, did I really almost convince you?"
And
like,
she doesn't even feel bad that
she doesn't.
She does not.
And there's like no remorse, but it's also not like she's cold-blooded about it.
No.
It's more like it's just like a doctor looking at the facts, like almost as if it was a doctor looking at a patient, knowing that this patient has cancer. Okay, what are we going to do about it? You have cancer. What are we going to do about it? In her case, you kill the cancer. Being the person and being these supers. And so that, I think, was a fantastic portrayal.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I enjoyed this. I can't say it enough. I enjoyed this film. I recommend it. I recommend that you watch this film. Don't listen to the critics unless you are going to be a stickler about some of the dialogue is not that great. It is predictable. It's a pretty predictable twist, the fact that, the psychiatrist is evil. But if you push all of that aside and you go into this movie expecting this world that you remember from Unbreakable and Split, the rules that were set out in those two films, if you just sit there just soaking it all in, accepting that you are on this ride, just go along for the ride, you'll be fine. If you are going in to nitpick everything, like every decision that is made in terms of the writing and the characters' decisions, you're not going to enjoy this movie. You're not going to enjoy it at all. But if you release and you are here along for the ride, you're going to love it.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah?
Right there.
Any other
No, that you talked about everything that, just enjoy the movie.
Yeah, enjoy the movie.
Enjoy the cinematography.
It was great cinematography.
The colors.
Yes.
Mise en scène.
The mise en scène. That was pretty great.
You guys will enjoy it.
All right, and now another thing that we're going to be doing, because now that Jordan Peele's Us kind of messed up with the fact that we were giving like dates of upcoming, like how far we are from these horror films, we're just going to do a recommendation of the week, like a good horror film recommendation. One that I'm going to recommend for this week that I just watched, I'm going to recommend Get Out. We just saw Get Out again. If you haven't seen Get Out, go watch it. Anyway, thank you so much for listening.
What about me?
Oh, sorry. You got one?
Dang. I do have one.
Go for it.
If you want to see Jack Nicholson very hairy, watch Wolf. 1998.
You just saw that this week?
I just watched that.
Okay, so go see Wolf.
It's not that great, but it's also Jack Nicholson very hairy as a wolf. So
I'm
He's
interested
a werewolf.
now.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like it, share it with among your friends and other podcast listeners. If you're on SoundCloud or iTunes, make sure to rate us. Also, if you want to see more episodes and possibly with even more and more guests, support us on Patreon, patreon.com/extraordinaryleague. Anyway, my name is Thomas.
My name is Mr. E.
And we'll see you next week.